So the first part of the interview will be a focus on the church itself, on the evangelical-Lutheran Mission-Diözese of Finland. Dear Bishop Pohjola, please give us some background on your church. When was it founded? Why was it founded? What was the reason for separating from the Evangelical-Lutheran Church of Finland?
How much do I have time? Well, the Mission-Diözese, something happened. Okay, yeah.
It's back.
2013, 25 congregations formed the Mission-Diözese. As I mentioned before, we started already year 2000, carried by then the Luther Foundation, Finland. I was the first employee, and I started the first congregation year 2000, downtown Helsinki. But we have to understand that there was a many decade-long Kirchenkampf. And there were and still are Lutheran mission organizations and revival movements. There might be some new churches also in the future. But in 1970s, many conservative pastors, the groups were pulled together on around the question of the Bible. And a very higher critical, very radical teaching was taking place in the University of Helsinki, and there was formed an institution to give another perspective of these theological matters. And this development was similar to Sweden and Norway. Like in Norway, there were like 250 pastors for this kind of a beginningsbewegung. And in Sweden, Bishop Juhana gathered big numbers of pastors. And also in Finland, I think there were like, I don't remember, but maybe 200 pastors who opposed women's ordinations, some bishops and even professors and so forth. So this is the background, and my spiritual fathers, and they were fighting there from 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. And I represent the future generations, the small remnant of the remnant. And we understood that it's not enough to have revival movements or symposia, to have theological days, but it's really a pastoral question. Where can I go to the Lord's Supper? Because women's ordination is a dividing issue, because once you start ordaining women, and a woman comes to a congregation where you and your parents and grandparents have been for decades, you are immediately left out without a congregation. Where will you go next Sunday? Mm-hmm. And that happened. Of course, many gave up and so forth, but and of course you can go if there's from other congregation in the same city, you can go there. But when the women pastor comes over there, where will you go next? And this kind of wandering around happened, and then we said, no, we need congregations. So there were theological reasons, not only women's ordination, but it was matter of Bible, it was matter of law, gospel preaching, and so forth. And the other one was, I don't like to say sociological, but like communal. That we come from established Lutheran church with big congregations, and people don't know each other. There's no sense of community and family. So we wanted to build a community where pastor knows his sheep, and the sheep knows each other and the pastor. And then to invite people. Because the problem of the mission was that somebody had, let's go to the internet, let's go to radio, let's have TV programs, let's give pamphlets around. That's good. But where can you invite the people? Where can they live the Christian life? And that's where we needed to start forming congregations. We were part of the mission province in Sweden, and the first ordinations took there also. So, and since there was one bishop who ordained me in 1999, and then he retired, and And the established Lutheran bishop said that no more. If you do not accept women's ordination, that's it, go out. And that happened in Sweden, and we were a few years part of that. And they are our sister church in Sweden. But then we consecrated a bishop for our pastors and congregations in Finland, 2011, and then 2013 we organized as mission diocese. Somebody might understand, what's the name of mission diocese? Well, we talk about the mission, but also historically Finland was a mission diocese. So, and then eventually it became, there were two dioceses, but we were for centuries just a diocese. And in our historical understanding, actually diocese is the basic unit in a church, in super-congregational. Of course, congregation is, but diocese has actually everything that the church has. So we, in a way, carry threefold heritage. And this is by Bujärts, who said that we carry in a way, the medieval Western tradition, with many liturgical and also church structural, episcopal structure, and then of course the confessional heritage from the Reformation era, but also then from the Erweckungsbewegung from 19th century about the mission and so forth. So we in a way we have a threefold heritage. And of course, at the center is the Book of Concord and so forth. And Bishop Bujärts had a very nice small pamphlet, Liturgy and Awakening. Has somebody read that? Very good. Is it in German? Oh, you should send to everybody. That's in a very. Sometimes you put those two things against each other, but for us it has been well self-evident that liturgical life, and then also awakening to invite people to faith and to be part of family. Well, that was a very long answer, sorry.
Thank you very much. No, but I think the liturgical part will be something we are looking for as well, because tomorrow we'll have another speech on liturgy. So
Great.
The waiting is something we're still waiting for, but
Okay.
the liturgy will be there. Yes, then the next, let's talk a little about the present state of the Evangelical Lutheran Mission Diocese. How many members do you have, and how many congregations? How old are your church members on average? And what is the ratio of church members of the church, and those that go to a regular Sunday service?
So, like I mentioned, we started from one pastor, one congregation, about 30 members. Now we have 5 deaneries, 46 congregations, 2 missions, and our collegium of pastors are now 75. I ordained 4 men just a few weeks ago, and that includes also Father in Rue. We have congregations all over in Finland, up in north, even in Lapland, where are the reindeers. And the most northern part of Finland, there's a very small congregation, and the pastor who goes there, we call him the high priest of EU, because he's really up north. We have now 2,700 members, but I would say that about 90% and even over attend regularly to the masses. So we are still in first love, time of period, and we got a good number of children, youth, students, adults, especially in the university cities.
I was quite impressed by the number of young people that attended your service. It seemed like it was that the average age was something around the 20s. So it's nice to see that.
Depends on the congregation, yes. Yeah.
What makes this church so special, this mission diocese? Where are its treasures, where would you say, and where do you see shortcomings, room for improvement? But these are short answers.
Okay, well, our ecclesiology is simple. Where Christ is, there is his church. And Christ is where he has promised to give him us graciously, as in the Mass. I think that our treasure, because I'm the pastor of pastors, I'm very thankful for our pastors' colleagues. We are very united, they're very gifted, committed. I'm very thankful for them. And also our laity is just wonderful people. And they all have paid the price to join our church. And we have also understanding, and at least we are learning to understand that really what it does mean to be a mission diocese. One of the problems or blessings, depends where you look, is that we rent church buildings. We have our office and a small chapel downtown Helsinki. That's the only place that we own. Otherwise, we rent mainly from Seventh-day Adventists and Methodists, even from Roman Catholics, Greek Orthodox. We have also had places. But my hope that we would someday have few beautiful Lutheran churches. That would be something. I think we are still in the process that some of our members do not have a clear identity, as that they somehow think that one step is in the established Lutheran Church. I think it takes a generation at least, that's always a challenge for us. We are thankful that we just had an altar pulpit fellowship declared with a 100-year-old Lutheran Free Church. They have 3 congregations and 4 pastors. So confessional Lutheranism is not only splintering, smaller things, but we have been able to unite also, and we are very, very, very grateful for that also. There are many challenges, but I'm too tired to remember them all now.
No, thank you very much. I can only say from own experience that it was really great and a very strengthening experience to be in a service of in Finland and to see all the young people, and I would wish more of that in Selk in Germany. So it is very great to be sort of together as sister churches in the Lutheran Council. So
and I must say that we have a summer festival every Sunday, every year, every summer. It has been now going for 5 years, and that's very typical in Finland for different movements. And we had just 3 weeks ago, and the Sunday service in a big tent which we rented from Pentecostals. There was 1,350 people there in the tent and choir, everything, and we had ordination there. And we had over, I think, between 200 and 300 people who were free willingly serving there. And mostly they were from age from 11 up, and it was wonderful to see that the church was on the move and serving each other. Everybody was acting there, so it was really an encouragement.
Thank you. So let's go and focus on the International Lutheran Council, the church body that both our churches are in. Tell us a little more about the International Lutheran Council, because we don't know if there's so many people know about it. You are the chairman of this body. What is it all about? What are its members and who are its members? What is its purpose?
Well, we are new kid on the block. So we were just part of the ILC 3 years ago, and then I was elected as a chairman. And I was thinking when we were sitting next to Bishop Hans-Jörg Vogt here that we looked similar, and he wanted to step down, and they thought that maybe I look, close enough. So I can feel his shoes, but they are very big shoes. So we are very grateful for the work of Bishop Vogt for many years, and also for Selk for giving the bishop for this important work. But ILC is a worldwide association of confessional Lutheran church bodies, and it operates in 5 regions or 5 continents. We have member churches around 55, 7 to 8 million church members. Some of them are also member in Lutheran World Federation. But there are church bodies actually who are leaving. One just left, and the other one is now pondering to leaving LWF also. we have full members, and then we have some recognized organizations. And it was very happy to hear that Corpus Christi, which is for young adults gathering, they joined ILC, and so they have an organization behind them, and that's very encouraging for us. So ILC is not a communion like LWF is. We exist for purpose of encouraging, strengthening and promoting confessional Lutheran theology and practice. We have like a 3-year cycle. Every third year we have the World Conference when all the church leaders from all these member churches come. And then we have every third year a regional conference, like in Europe. So we come together with ILC European churches. And actually we in Zoom we meet 4 or 5 times a year. And then we have a seminary conference, and that was in Argentina, Buenos Aires in just this summer. And all the ILC member churches, they sent their representatives from seminaries, and then they share the same challenges and joys there. We have also a leadership development program for future church leaders, mainly from Africa, and that's very important. And ILC has also a working group with Roman Catholic Church, focused now on Augsburg Confession Jubileum, going to be 2030. And we started this spring, and we have a Professor Emeritus Werner Klein is there, and we have a twice a year mutual discussions, and that's very, very interesting also. So this kind of work we do.
Can you tell us a little about the dynamics in confessional Lutheranism? Where do we find growth? Where are the greatest challenges?
Well, that's a long question, but I mentioned a seminary conference in Buenos Aires, and you could tell what are the directions. The global north said, where do we get more students? And the global south said, where do we get more teachers? So that tells you a lot.
So the cooperation is great then?
Yes, it should be. And actually, yeah, so well, can I tell more about the ILC?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So, well, we see that the growth is coming from especially from Africa, but also from maybe from South America, and we all share the same focus on Christ Jesus, and not in a minimalistic and reductionist way, but the Christ who structures the whole Bible and the Book of Concord. But of course, then there are challenges also among ILC member churches. I mentioned the question of women's ordination. That's up on the General Convention in Australia. He's an associate. He's not a full member, but associate member. And it has been discussed in some other churches also, and there's a lot of pressure from Western Mission and LWF also in Africa on these questions. But ILC is very clear on this matter, that according to our bylaws, if a member church accepts women's ordination, it cannot be a full member no longer. And somebody mentioned that I sent a letter on the behalf of the board of the ILC. So the board consists of every representative of every 5 regions. And of course, with love, I wrote that letter to encourage Zerg to stand firm on its confessional ground. And it would be very, very, very sad and painful thing if Zerg decided to go other way, or some other church.
It is interesting that letter actually was received very differently in Zelk. It shed the sheep from the goats, and you could see the goats and you could see the sheep, so that really did its purpose.
Well, I thought it's going for Kirchenleitung, but I heard that it was delivered for many others. But
yes, we thought we should share it with everybody, which was very important.
Yes,
and we are very thankful for this letter. So the prominent common ground of all ISC member churches is the confession, I guess. So what is it? Is its answer to some socio-political, controversial, ethical issues? I think we heard a lot about it in your speech, but you want to pinpoint some specific points?
Well, of course, I mean the trustful word of God and understand the mission of the church, that it's not make only the world better place, but to save people and we have the eternal perspective. And we get feedback from many churches that they are a little bit tired to hear about social, gospel and environmental issues. What they ask for is not necessarily money, but they ask for good Lutheran theology, good Lutheran books here now, and good confessional teaching, and professors to come and teach their students. And I think that's something that we can enrich each other in ILC. That if we have here good theologians, we send actually regularly our pastors to teach to Africa. They go for two weeks to have a course and then they come back. They are enriched in Africa, the pastors are enriched, the congregations who send them are enriched. And we are enriched to see how Holy Spirit is doing work there and to get their excitement and joy to spread gospel. So in many ways there are good things going on. And actually, at the moment, I could say also that there's discussions. We're going to have ILC meeting now in October in Wittenberg. And there's also a question that a church and church fellowship, because that's when we discussed with the SELC, Professor Wentz was coming to Finland and Bishop Vogt, and it was mutual discussion. That's important. But what about all the other ILC member churches? We have in Africa, we have South America. Do we go there separately? Nobody has the resources and time for that. And there has been discussion now: could ILC be facilitating that churches? It could be easier to declare pulpit and pulpit fellowship with each other, and that kind of discussion is going further.
One last question on the ILC topic. Why, in your opinion, is it worth being an explicitly confessional Lutheran church? And is it worth intensifying the cooperation between confessional Lutheran churches worldwide? What would you consider the hidden treasures of the Lutheran church, perhaps if you compare it to, for example, the Reformed churches or something like that? And what, in your opinion, is the meaning of being a Lutheran church, or rather a Lutheran Christian, if you oppose it to being a Christian merely?
Yes, that's many questions. I don't know how can you be a Lutheran if you are not a confessional? Are you non-confessional or 95% confessional, or what are you? So we are all confessional Lutherans, and of course the other ones do not confess the whole Book of Concord, but some do. And of course we try to cherish the precious heritage that we have received and pass it on to the next generation. I think personally, if you think about Lutheran pressures, I remember when I was a young man and I understood that now Christ has forgiven my sins and I'm a baptized child of God. But then I thought that, okay, now with the Holy Spirit, it's my duty to kind of win over the sins and lead a good sanctified life. And I was really despaired till I find that no, it's the Christian calling is not to win the sins, but to be all the time forgiven. And then Romans 7 and the basic teaching that we are same time sinners and saints became a very cherished heritage for us. The other one is, from my personal experience, is that when you are in sorrow, I lost one of my baby, one of my child, and when you go through sorrow, and when I've been defrocked and faced many challenges that in sorrow, weakness, in helplessness, in small numbers, Christ's grace and love is hidden there, and His power is also hidden there. And also this court case that we are talking about, it's and this is Theologie des Kreuzes, and nothing else. I mean, but it's not only a theory, but it's a tested and living reality that I could not live without. I couldn't survive as a Christian. Many have said that, well, why don't you join Roman Catholics or you go Greek Orthodox, as many have done, because when the big structure is collapsed, people, go to find some places. No, how could I give up these treasures? I wouldn't survive.
Yeah, you spoke about the court case. Let's shift our focus to this court proceedings, alleging you used hate speech and trying to convict you of hate crime for publishing and distributing as the editor-in-chief a pamphlet written by Dr. Päivi Räsänen, a Finnish member of parliament. And the pamphlet was called Male and Female. He made them homosexual relationships challenge the Christian concept of humanity. When did you first learn you were charged with hate crime, and what was your initial reaction?
Well, I have a little bit tell about the background, because some think that we, studied a cultural war and, challenge the established church and all the public media and go against it. No, I'm not a hero. No, when we started 2000, our first congregation, we also started with Lutheran Heritage Foundation, a pamphlet series. And I think number 3 was Bishop Juhana on women's ordination. And there was Herman Sasse, there were many, just basic Lutheran teaching. And Dr. Martti Vaataranta wrote one, and so many. And I think, was it number 22 or number 23, there was, then I asked Member of Parliament Päivi Räsänen to write a pamphlet from 3 different perspectives. She's a medical doctor, she's a faithful Lutheran, wonderful lady, and she's a member of parliament, because the parliament was discussing that subject already at that time. And she wrote, and she had said, if she had only known that it would be, scrutinized in the court, she would have done so much better job. But in a hurry, she pulled that together, and we published 3,000 copies, and it was forgotten soon and delivered for our members. And no big show. But then we put the whole series of this catechetical series, and they are still on our website, because internet came. And then 2019, Dr. Räsänen tweeted in the summer during the Helsinki Pride Parade, when first time the Evangelical Lutheran Church became a sponsor for that Pride event. And she, as a member of that church, she tweeted, "How can the church doctrinal foundation, the Bible, be compatible with elevating sin and shame as reasons for pride?" And then she copied the verses from Romans 1. And that caused a media storm, that you are saying, they are prideful, and you say it's sin and shame. And I called my bishop and asked him that, and I was dean then, and Bishop Rosaramies, that is there some way that we could help Mrs. Räsänen, she has to face all that pressure now from media alone. Little did I know. So the fall 2019, I received then a letter from police inspector, and it turned out that the Lutheran theologian and our state church pastor, the established Lutheran pastor, had dug up this pamphlet from our website and noticed that, Räsänen has written also this and this includes has hate speech in it. That was his opinion. And then
so it was a Lutheran pastor.
Lutheran pastor, yes. Well, they never trust. Oh, no. So we are very thankful for that. And then we received I didn't know about this investigation, but we both received a letter from the police inspector who had written 12 pages argumentation why he is not proceeding with this matter. And he said that if you disagree with us and engage in public discourse, and if this pamphlet would be illegal, then would distribution of the Bibles be illegal? That was what the police said in that paper. And we thought, we were just laughing about it. Are we in Finland already in this position that our material is scrutinized? But then it automatically goes to the table of general prosecutor. And then she informed that, no, she will start an investigation. That was a huge blow. Then what's happening here? So then I was invited for police investigation, and I was there for 5 hours. And the last question was, are you willing to take the pamphlet out of the website? I said, no, there's no theological or legal reason for that. Mrs. Rasanen was also charged with the tweet and also radio program and with this pamphlet. So she was there for 3 times, and she said that they have a Bible study group in the police station already. Because we really went through Romans 1, we had to go through that. So it was really, what is sin, what is shame, and so forth.
So it's having mission under the policeman.
Yes, wonderful. So then we knew that if the prosecutor general was active, and she had already publicly said that she will go with that further, then we were charged in the court. In that same court where my father was judged for decades. So in Helsinki District Court. And so micro. Okay. So we were there in the Helsinki District Court for 2 days. And we can talk more about that, and then it went to the appeal court and so forth. But maybe
let's talk about it. How did the proceedings go? What is the current situation?
We were 2022 and 2023 in the district court and then appeal court, and we won on both occasions. But I have to share that it was like a nightmare, or it was like a bad joke. First time when in the district court, the state prosecutor said that this is nothing to do with the Bible, it's about the Finnish law. And then she started telling me, how can we legally interpret Bible? She said that the legal way is that you can quote St. Paul from Romans, but you cannot say that homosexual is unnatural sin and shame as Paul is writing in the Romans. You cannot say it as your own opinion, but you can just say that, well, this historical text says like this, like Quran says like this, but you cannot promote it as your own opinion. What I'm supposed to do every Sunday, you know, Lutheran confession says this. I'm not serious about it, but Bible says this. Of course, it's my opinion, my teaching also as well. And the last question she asked me: do you follow the law, Finnish law, or the Bible? In the Finnish court. Unbelievable. So it was. We were looking at each other in the court and said, "What's going on here?" And it was a shock.
So it was actually the Bible on trial.
Yes, we call that Bible on trial in that respect. Mrs. Räsänen came with the Bible to the court. And it was really, of course, in the pamphlet we say some other things also. Mrs. Räsänen was educated as a medical doctor, and when she was studying, it was common said that there's no gene. What causes homosexuality? There's no gene, and the common theory was that it's a psychological disorder when you are young. But now you cannot say that. Although there are still many psychiatrists who says this, but it's illegal to say even that. So there are some statements that are not only from Bible, but anyway. So
I would be interested to see where did you actually get headwinds from, and where did you get support from? What direction of society?
Well, first of all, we felt that it was very much trial by newspaper. The prosecutor general, even before the court case started in the district court, she gave a big public interview, and we couldn't even comment that. And we know that the established Lutheran Church have been in this process against us. I have been accused by the assistant of the Archbishop that ILC and we are part of international right-wing anti-gender movement. When I asked this 2003, this pamphlet, I didn't know what is an anti-gender movement. So, like I have said that in some circles we represent freedom of speech and religion, but actually in Finnish media story, the prosecutor general actually she was rewarded as a champion for free speech. That she raises difficult subjects in the society and so forth. So in Finnish society, it's not that we are really champions of the freedom of speech, but it's on the contrary. They see, for example, the encouragement that we have received from many churches, and for example, in Hungary there was demonstrations behind the Finnish embassy. Is that me? I don't know. That there is foreign influence on juridical system in Finland, and so forth and so forth.
So it seems like a perversion of the actual thing.
Yes, but we have received also support, and we are very, very thankful for it. And like I said, that it has been also an eye-opening experience. It has been a blessing for us, that it's not a self-evident fact that in a society which is sharing a democratic and values, and we have a very strong rule of law. My father was a judge, my two sisters are lawyers, the other one is in the judge in appeal court. So I have a high respect on our legal system. So we are not a failed state, we are not a banana state. Sorry, if that's not a good word, don't translate it. But Finland is, I'm very proud of our society and our legal system. But still, it's not self-evident anymore. And we have to fight for it, and like we said, use it or lose it, the freedom of speech. So we have received support from many Christian groups, from Finland and from abroad, and it has been media coverage in, for example, United States. House of Congress representatives have sent us, I have received from bishops from different denominations. All the ILC churches have given a support letter, and I have been asking, telling our members in our congregation that what good have we done that when our members go to South America or Africa, they are praying for our church there because of the court case. God has placed them to pray for us. We are undeserved and non sum dignus, like we say.
So there's also blessing with it.
It has been a blessing as well. So
What view of society, I think if you dig deeper, and it also concerns us in Germany because we don't have a court case like this, but a little similar to this one. But what view of society in the world would you say is the basis for the above allegation of hate speech? And in how widespread is this view in today's society? What is the underlying view?
Well, I'm not an expert on this, but we know that there is no legal definition about hate speech. That's the police inspector said firstly. I don't know, do you have in Germany? But there's not commonly defined concept of hate speech. So it's very loose. And actually, maybe the prosecutor general wants to have a precedent verdict on this subject matter, that because this is the first time religious speech is on the Supreme Court level now, and that where does the freedom of speech and then non-discrimination acts, where does the line goes? But I think that it leaves as a citizen in a very difficult situation. If I come to Germany, I cannot say that I can overspeed in Autobahn. That's a bad example. But if I do something stupid here, I usually know that I'm breaking the law. And the law should be so clear that you understand, that at least you are able to understand that you are breaking the law. But if the inspector did not understand that this pamphlet could be breaking the law, how could I understand that? Dr. Räsänen was in the parliament passing the law 2011, which included the non-discrimination acts about homosexuals in the law. And she could have never known that this law would be used against her publication from 2003. So this is one thing. The other one is that we see that the hate speech laws they try to go further and further. And we know that in our, I have to quote here that this was the accusation. Juhana Pohjola has made and maintained available to the public opinions and allegations, defaming and insulting homosexuals as a group on the basis of their sexual orientation. So I understand if it would be kind of attacking that, writing that you should stone them or spit on them or something like that. But now this defaming and insulting is understood that the biblical teaching also includes this. So there's a tendency to expand that, and there are experts who said that this is happening all over in Europe, and that's a worrying development. And I have said that actually I have become more liberal because of this process. If we try to make a safe space, this comes from America, the whole society, that if we cannot suffer insulting and offensive speech in society, in academia, in the church, anywhere. So if somebody feels, we were talking about feelings determine reality, then they have the power to silence us because we are causing them mental distress. And for me it was an eye-opening experience to read Carl F. Truman's book, and he points out there the historical development, how we ended up here. And the prosecutor said in the court, and this was kind of her crucial point, when homosexual acts are condemned, the whole person is condemned. I say again, when homosexual acts are condemned, the whole person is condemned. So when we said that as Christians we cannot go against 5th and 8th commandment, we as Christians said that every human being has an intrinsic value as an image of God. We could never say that some people is below another. But at the same time we say that homosexual acts and lifestyle is unnatural and it's sinful, and it will bring shame on eschatological perspective, because shame is also eschatological concept. We are not put in shame when we stand in front of God. But so we made with person and action. God loves sin and hates. God loves sinner and hates sin. And the prosecutor was quoting this saying. You have heard it. Maybe it's what is in German. God hates sin but loves sinner. Yes. Mm-hmm. So the prosecutor was saying this is a fundamentalist wrong understanding. You cannot say that, because now if you say that you are condemning this person, and this comes from this ideological history, because if the person's identity is most all about sexual pleasure, and this is the Freudian understanding, it's about sexual pleasure, sexual happiness. To fulfill oneself sexually is all about identity. So the logic goes, if you follow me, to have gay sex is a question of sexual identity. The question of identity is of human dignity. And human dignity is the center of political and legal system in society. So that's shortly put kind of the rationale behind that. That although I said in the interrogations, I say in the court, we say in the pamphlet that it says that every human being is the same value. Still the prosecutor said this is homophobic material. It doesn't matter, because you are condemning as an unnatural, sinful the way of this action. So how can we preach law and gospel? We can say many other things than homosexuality, because it's a basic distinction between human value and then that he's a moral agent and not a robot, but moral agent. How does one live one's life?
But isn't that also going back to before the age of enlightenment? Because the idea was to have a philosophic discussion on certain aspects and to separate it from the human being. Otherwise, you can't discuss these aspects. So if you follow the prosecutor, the whole of the philosophical discussions will just be eliminated. You cannot discuss certain ideas, because the ideas are always sort of connected to a person, and if you always need to think about not going against the person, you cannot talk about the idea. So it actually, the whole of philosophy is being sort of taken away out of the discourse.
Absolutely, and in the court, if court is punishing me, are they dehumanizing me? No, they are punishing me for my actions. I don't feel dehumanized, that my human value is not degraded, but I'm responsible for my actions.
So this is even going not only against Christians, this is going against the whole of society and what Western world is standing for.
Yes, right? But that's we can laugh about it and say this is crazy, but that narrow-minded, and how stupid can we get in the society when we are ideologically blinded?
No, but it's not only stupid, it's dangerous.
Yes, it's dangerous. But I mean, at the same time, it's making people stupid.
Yes, but it's going to the core of society. It's all about the European Enlightenment is about, and we can discuss whether it's good or bad, but at least it's something Europe was more or less built on, and we're going back to the Dark Middle Ages, so to speak.
Yes, and like I said, that this pamphlet is not only a private opinion of Dr. Räsänen and me, but it is part of the catechetical series of my church. So what is the freedom of speech and religion for my church? Mm-hmm. And the serious thing is this, I'm not sure if you're asking, but I'm already answering that if, that no matter what the outcome of the court case is, the damage is already done. Mm-hmm. Because it's well known that the punishment of this whole thing is not that we would be fined. Luther Foundation would have to pay 10,000 euros. I would have to pay maybe 4,000 or 5,000 euros, and Dr. Räsänen with better salary, a little bit more. But that's it. You know, I have friends. They would be happy to. You know, you would be happy to give money for 10,000 euros to cover. It's not. You know, and I can afford it. Yes, I can. So that's not an issue. Yeah. But if you think about the court case, the process started in 2019, we are now 24. It's not now on Supreme Court level. We expect that maybe next spring. If we lose, we take it to the Court of Human Rights. We are talking about maybe 5, 6, 7 years being part of this process. This is the punishment. Mm-hmm. The process itself is the punishment. Who wants to be in the court process for 6, 7 years? So this is the signal for everybody in the society. High profile, former interior minister, MP, and a Lutheran pastor, now bishop. Watch out what you say. Mm-hmm. Of course, I mean, she's a public person, and her statements are well heard in the society. If someone else says, nobody hears that. But I mean, this is the signal that people, that's the fear. Mm-hmm. And that leads to self-censorship. Be silent, be silent, be silent. And also, what happens if we are found guilty? And actually the newspapers were before the court case, the general prosecutor had not lost many cases on these matters. So we were actually partly condemned even before the court case. What would that mean for our members in our congregations? I'll give you an example from Australia. I read about that. There was a businessman or someone else, and then he had tweeted or something like that, nothing stupid, but he had only mentioned that the congregation he goes. And then somebody finds out, what is the pastor from that congregation preaching? And then he was accused to be hateful or anything, I don't remember what was exactly, by the company and by the media, just because he was a member of that congregation. So there's a guilty by association. So the youth and the people that would be members in the Mission-Diözese, which we are small minority church in the big, so we have already the label of sect in that respect, in sociological aspect. And then we would say that this is the criminal group. Your bishop is a criminal. And you are promoting criminal things in the society which are dangerous. So what would we have got in high positions some of our members. What would happen to them? Mm-hmm. So it's a serious matter.
Yeah, so it's the old Marxist idea of if you punish one, you will teach millions.
You said it.
What is your advice then? How can Christians profess their faith in an environment as described? What does this mean in very practical terms? How can we support one another?
Put your head down and be silent. No.
I hope not.
No. Well, first of all, I think we have different callings. And I'm very thankful for Dr. Räsänen. Do you know Finnish concept sisu? Sisu?
Tell me.
Well, there's one Finn at least. Yeah. Sisu is, it means resilience, guts. So if you live in, and that's kind of, we say that Finns have sisu. That we long winters and
I think in Spanish it's cojones.
Yes. So Dr. Räsänen, she has sisu a lot, and I have been standing behind her back, and I like said that on my left hand I have got my pastoral staff, and on right my hand is Dr. Räsänen's purse. So we have different callings, and we should encourage those and support them. And pray for them who God has placed in those positions that they can fight in public arena on these matters. We can also work together with other Christians. I have been really blessed to have many new contacts from other denominations with very many skills, and we need cooperation in externals, and this is one of the subjects that we can do. One thing personally is the rule or the guidance that Alexander Solzhenitsyn gave during the communist era, and author Rodriguez has written a book, and the title is "Live Not by Lies." You cannot maybe change the society, but you can personally abstain from the lie. You do not have to take part in the lie. And during the communist regime, Alexander Solzhenitsyn had like a list of things that he refuses to say. Don't go with the language. Don't go with the concepts. Don't go with the rainbow flag. So there are things that we can do in that sense. Do not compromise. Then there's of course civil disobedience, and that's also what Luther says. There's in his writings that then they are, and then you have to pay the price. So talk about it with your congregation, with the youth. I have been very focused on that I do not make this a cultural, legal crusade in my church. Usually, the more we were in headlines, the less I talk about the matter at all. Let's focus on the basic things. Let's peacefully have joyful life with Christ. We are not a legal cultural movement. We are a church. And to carry the cross, that's the basic thing for Christians to do. But yes, we need to also educate and talk with others. And I always say that, teenagers in the public schools, they face much more pressure than I do in the media. If they ask wrong questions in the classroom, and do they have the resource to see the whole picture or defend themselves? No. Well, these are some things.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Very practical. So let's focus on one last point. I know I'm running out of time.
Okay.
Just one last point. Church planting was something we touched on very quickly at the end of your speech, and it fits in nicely, I think. Everything we have spoken about centers around the one point. How do we follow what God, through His Son Jesus Christ, tells us, and what we know is true and the right thing to do? It will probably result in some form of persecution, like you just told us about. Hopefully not as harsh as you are experiencing it, but it will also hopefully have a positive effect, being a clear testimony of our faith and drawing others to Christ. Ultimately, this should result in growing congregations. Is this what church planting is all about? Please tell us a little about your church planting projects in Helsinki and other places, as far as you haven't told us that already. Perhaps the connection to confessing.
Yes. So when we were in the part of the established Lutheran Church, we were in the headlines for many, many years. So Lutheran Foundation was very known for everything and everything. There was many, many things going on. But when we formed established the Mission-Diözese, there's quite silence about it. We are forgotten. And well, that's fine. We can concentrate our work and so forth. But this has also caused that our church and me personally have been more in media. And my previous bishops always said that when you are in the media, money of the believers is spared when the devil is taking care of the advertisement. So many people have learned to know about us, because if you go in Finland and ask what is Mission-Diözese, very few people know about us. I think that's in Germany as well, for Zelk, I think. Yeah. So that's one thing. And then people said, okay, well, they are I'm not the only one who is still thinking and believing like you. There exist more. I regularly get these messages. I thought I was the only one. No, you are not. We are here. Please come, join us. So our DNA is to build congregations. And usually when we started from one congregation and we planned there another congregation. Usually it's a mother-daughter model. It can be in the same town, usually maybe from 50 kilometers somewhere else. We start a new congregation, usually when we have about 15 people. We go through Luther's 7 signs of the church, and if they are need or more catechesis, then we go, but then we start masses. And then after a while, then the congregation is formed. And the rationale behind is that we use the image from the Bible. That you remember the one sheep that was lost. There was hundreds, and then one was lost, and then the shepherd went after the one. And we asked if the flock had been 500, would the shepherd have noticed that one is missing? No, it's too much. So it's a sociological fact that 150 people, then the cohesion breaks down if it's go much above that. So we started, like in Helsinki, we had after some years like 150, 160 attending every Sunday in the Mass. Then we started, 30 people left and started with a new congregation. And it's wonderful to see that they were very passive. They didn't, come to have Sunday school. They were afraid to play the organ or piano. But then when they went there and they were all needed, we found new gifts from the congregation. Okay, now I'm needed here. Then there was place for new people to come. They were noticed because there are 150 people, new people come and nobody talks to them, and they talk to only the friends and so forth. And we saw also then that the finance went, that if they had continued there, we had reached kind of the financial support, but then they started a new one, the finance went up together. If you combine the two congregations, they were much, much higher. Then they called the pastor. And so now they are self-supporting. Then we started another congregation. We sent 30 people around there and said, okay, we want to go this way. It's painful. I mean, those for leave, because those who are leaving, it's very, now we are mission, it's exciting. And those who are leaving, you left, and how are we doing now? There are empty seats, and now I have to make coffee more often, and so forth and so forth. But regularly there are more people coming, and now we did it for a third time. And now they are in the start. They are like 25, 30 people, and we'll see how it goes. So, this is not rocket science, but it must be understood that this is what the church is for. And that's why it's make it easier if you don't own a church, because you can go from one place to another. Because you would easily need 150 people just to pay the bills for electricity and so forth. But for the mission's sake, it has been a blessing for us. And like I said, The two things. Gottesdienst als Leben und Gemeinde als Zuhause. Can we say it together?
Gottesdienst als Leben, Gemeinde als Zuhause.
Sehr gut, vielen Dank.
Thank you very much.